If you did not watch Long Gone Summer, the 30 for 30 documentary about Mark McGwire versus Sammy Sosa and their race to have 61 home runs to beat Roger Maris, I would recommend it because honestly, there are some active players that remind me of Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. So what we're going to do is we're going to make some comparisons from active players to former players. Who is the modern day Mike Schmidt? Who's the modern day Barry Bonds? We're going to talk about that in today's video, and honestly, my jaw dropped multiple times doing research for this video. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to not forget to leave a like as well as subscribe because we're on the road to 200K before opening day. And without further ado, let's start talking baseball. Now, real quick, I do want to note that all of the comparisons I'm going to make are from players that played the same position. So if it's a Mark McGwire comparison, it's going to be a first baseman. If we're talking about Larry Walker, it's going to be an outfielder. So don't get it twisted. I'm not going to compare Yadier Molina to Babe Ruth. That's not going to happen. Bartolo Colon is the modern day Hank Aaron, and it's not even. So because it is fresh in my mind, like I said, I watched the 30 for 30 on Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa yesterday. We're going to talk about the modern day Mark McGwire. And I was watching it yesterday and the resemblance became uncanny. Pete Alonso kind of looks like Mark McGwire when he was a rookie, and it doesn't just end there. When Mark McGwire was a rookie, he set the home run record and had a negative 1.4 defensive WAR at first base as a rookie. So again, he set the home run record in his first season and was pretty bad at defense while playing first base. What did Pete Alonso do? He set the rookie home run record and had a negative 1.3 defensive WAR at first base. So they were pretty much equally terrible defensively. They both set rookie home run records in their first debut season, and then also they kind of run the same. They don't really move their arms a lot. They're kind of just one big body and one big mass moving in space. It's kind of funny. They both hit the baseball a long way. So in my opinion, Pete Alonso, he's the modern day Mark McGwire, just without the steroids. Now, this was recorded in 2020, so if you guys watch this in 2028 and if Pete Alonso tests positive, how would I know that? Don't blame me. But if I'm keeping it real with you guys, I do not think that Pete Alonso is on anything. He was born to hit baseballs very far. Mickey Mantle is one of the greatest baseball players of all time, and between 19 years old and 27 years old, he had 1,392 base hits, 280 home runs, a 994 OPS, 98 stolen bases, and a 67.9 WAR before turning 28. So that's pretty hard to do. But guess what? We have a modern day Mickey Mantle playing in LA on the Angels. We all know that Mike Trout is the best comparison to Mr. Mickey that we've seen in the history of baseball. Before turning 28 years old, he also has 1,300 base hits. He has 285 home runs, a 1,000 OPS. He does have a lot more stolen bases with 200, and he has a whopping 72.8 WAR before turning 28 years old. And the obvious fact is that Mickey Mantle was a switch hitter, whereas Mike Trout was not. But if you take a look at this video I found, it's not the best quality because someone recorded it off their phone looking at a TV. Their swings are almost identical if you're talking about Mickey Mantle hitting right-handed, so you gotta love it. This video was so much fun to make. The modern day Mickey Mantle is playing in LA. Now this next comparison was super easy. We're talking about Mike Schmidt. Who is the modern day Mike Schmidt? Well, it was really easy because he literally came out and said that Nolan Arenado is the next generation's Mike Schmidt, which I guess is kind of cool to say. Like, he's that good. He can identify a specific player and say, yep, that guy is Cooperstown bound. He is literally the second coming of me. Mike Schmidt, through 7 seasons, 234 home runs, 663 RBIs, an 888 OPS, and a 12.6 defensive WAR. What has Nolan Arenado done through 7 seasons? He has 227 home runs, so 6 less, or actually 7 less. We do quick maps over here on the Fuzzy channel. He has more RBIs with 734, an 897 OPS, and a 13 defensive WAR. So if you compare the two kind of on top of each other, you can see just how good Nolan Arenado has been through 7 seasons. And yes, I know a lot of you stat nerds are going to come out and say Nolan Arenado, his WRC plus is nowhere near that of Mike Schmidt's, and also you have to factor in games played and plate appearances. I understand that, but when you have Mike Schmidt literally coming out and saying with his own mouth that Nolan Arenado is 2.0 of himself, I'm going to go with him over what you guys have to say. So I don't mean to sound like a jerk, but your stats just don't really matter here. Right after this next comparison, we're going to go ahead and talk about the modern day Barry Bonds. But first, I want to talk about Jacob deGrom because we haven't talked about a pitcher, so let's do it right now. he kind of reminds you of Pedro Martinez, right? So back in 1999 and 2000, he had a combined 1.9 ERA with a 12.5 strikeouts per 9 and a 1.4 walks per 9. So he was electric. He went back-to-back Cy Youngs, and who can forget what he did in the 1999 All-Star Game by striking out the side. But Jacob deGrom has also won back-to-back Cy Youngs with a pretty comparable 2.05 ERA and 11.2 strikeouts per 9 and a 1.2 walks per 9. So they're not as good, but those are still elite numbers. So in the comment section down below, I want you guys to let me know, did I get this comparison right? Do we think that Jacob deGrom is the modern day Pedro Martinez, or do you think that belongs to Max Scherzer or Garrett Cole or Justin Verlander? Let me know in the comment section down below, but in my opinion, considering the back-to-back Cy Youngs, the low ERA, the high strikeouts with the low walks, I think deGrom is a perfect comparison. I told you guys that we were going to talk about the modern day Barry Bonds, who has been getting a lot of talk recently because Trevor Bauer came out and said that he should be in the Hall of Fame. So I guess while we're on the topic, do we think that Barry Bonds is a Hall of Famer? All right, now let's get back to the video. The modern day Barry Bonds resides in Milwaukee, and I'm saying this because his hitting coach in Miami was actually Barry Bonds, Christian Yelich. From 2018 to 2019, he had 80 home runs, 52 stolen bases, and a 1,046 OPS. He won an MVP and then came in second place. So remember, he had 80 home runs. What did Barry Bonds do from 1992 to 1993? He had 80 home runs, 68 stolen bases, and a 1,109 OPS. So I understand that Barry Bonds was in fact better than Christian Yelich. Now we're talking about pre-steroids Barry Bonds, his last season in Pittsburgh and then his first season in San Francisco when he was actually still pretty skinny before he ballooned. But he won back-to-back MVPs. Yelich almost won back-to-back. In my opinion, this is probably the most accurate comparison considering Barry Bonds was the hitting coach and he didn't even really fix the swing. He just made it better. Christian Yelich went from a guy that was hitting 15 to 20 home runs to setting records in the first and second half of back-to-back seasons. I guess the only really thing is that Barry Bonds was a whole lot better at defense, but Christian Yelich, he's won a Gold Glove in his career, so he's been all right. I really like this one. Larry Walker was finally inducted into Cooperstown this past election season, and his career was nothing short of amazing. Again, a lot of people are going to say he was aided by Coors Field. That's why we have a stat called OPS Plus, where it takes your OPS and then adjusts it to the ballpark that you played in, so we can compare it to modern day players. So in 1997, Larry Walker had 49 home runs, a 178 OPS Plus. He won the MVP and also won a Gold Glove. Does that sound like anyone? Oh yeah, Cody Bellinger, who had 47 home runs this past season, a 169 OPS Plus, so he was not even 10 points away from Larry Walker. He won an MVP, and then the cherry on top, and comparing him to Mr. Larry Walker, is the fact that he also won a Gold Glove. And also, maybe I'm just too invested and having too much fun in this video, but when I compare their swings, they're very vicious and they almost swing with an uppercut, both of them. Larry Walker had an upward plane swing, and then Cody Bellinger, one of the smoothest swings that I can find in 2020 baseball. I mean, if Barry Bonds to Christian Yelich is not the perfect comparison, it's got to be Larry Walker to Cody Bellinger, right? Let me know in the comment section down below how I'm doing so far, because this has been so much fun. This one is not perfect, but I do think that the passion for baseball and the way that they play makes it a whole lot closer. Ronna Vicuna Jr. is the modern day Sammy Sosa. Now, I almost went Alfonso Soriano, but I think that, Soriano didn't have as much fun as Ronald Acuna, so I went with the Sammy Sosa comparison. In 2019, Acuna had 41 home runs, 37 stolen bases, and a 122 OPS plus. Guess what Sammy Sosa did in 1995? 36 home runs, so there's still a lot of power there, with 34 stolen bases, so the power and speed dual threat, that comparison is there. But guess what? He also finished with a 122 OPS plus. They also played great defense. They had really good arms. They play with a fire in their bellies that is really not matched. And honestly, if you take a look at this clip right here, this was Sammy Sosa in the minor leagues hitting a home run. The speed, the power, how skinny he was before steroids. I mean, come on. This was pretty good too. The comparison comparison between Chris Sale and Randy Johnson has been made before, so we're not going to spend too much time on it, but my jaw dropped when I was doing the research for these guys to try and compare them. From 2017 to 2018, Chris Sale had a 13.2 strikeouts per nine and a 2.56 ERA. Randy Johnson in 2000 and also 2001, if you combine those two seasons, he had a 13.0 strikeouts per nine, so just under what Chris Sale did in 2017 and 2018. But remember, Sale had a 2.56 ERA. What did Johnson do from 2000 to 2001? You guessed it, a 2.56 ERA. I can't believe how much fun I've had so far. This has been so fun. We are literally watching the modern day Randy Johnsons and Pedro Martinez and Mike Schmidts and Mark McGwire's do their thing. Do we understand how good these players are at such a young age? It's wild. Now, the last two players that I want to compare to former superstars, again, they're not going to be perfect, but I think that there's some resemblance in them. The first one being Aaron Judge compared to Dave Winfield. They're both big bodies. I believe that Dave Winfield was 6'6", Aaron Judge is 6'7", maybe even 6'8" on a good day, but they're both humongous human beings that could have been a star in football and basketball if they did not choose to play baseball. They hit a bunch of home runs and they had a cannon for an arm out in right field playing for the Yankees. And then last but definitely not least, Matt Chapman is most likely the best defender at third base since Brooks Robinson. Now, I think that both of these guys, again, they were vacuums over there at third base. They're not always going to be the best hitters. I do understand that Matt Chapman had 36 home runs, but his OPS was not the highest in 2019. And when you compare that to Brooks Robinson, a pretty good hitter throughout his career, but his OPS was never the highest, but defensively, some of the best that we've ever seen. And that is going to conclude today's video. If you did enjoy it, I would really appreciate a like on this video as I spent a ton of time. Thank you all so much for the love that you guys show me. We literally get to talk about baseball every single day. It's my passion, and I wanted to say thank you guys for making my dreams come true. If you have not hit that sub button, today is the perfect time to do so. As baseball's coming back, we're talking about it every single day because you guys allow me to. So catch you guys in the next one. Appreciate everything. Peace out. If you guys made it to the end of the video, do not forget to leave a like, and also, if you're bored, there are 2 more videos on the screen right now. What are you doing? Click on them. I promise you, they're fun. Do it. Otherwise, you're gonna not pull a diamond for the rest of your life.